Celebrating the individual. Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.
Welcome back to the Silverstone Festival for your second instalment of historic motor racing.
But this year we have something extra special. Apart from a dazzling array of cars, we have one of the largest collections of Ayrton Senna's cars, as Silverstone pays tribute to this amazing man.
Yeah, we got something for everyone. So if you're a thrill seeker of a certain age, you might want to go to the adrenaline zone. Or if you want to get up close and personal with a Formula One car, head over to the fan zone.
Or dance the night away with one of the biggest names in pop.
We get to go dancing.
I'm not dancing next to you, you're dodgy moves.
No, I'm a dad dancer, it's literally. Do you know what? Let's just get into it.
I cannot believe that it was almost 40 years ago that Ayrton Senna burst onto the F1 scene, then became world champion 3 times, over 41 wins. I mean, he really did cement himself as being one of the best ever Formula One drivers.
Yeah, and he really loved this track. In fact, he had more wins here than anywhere else. And when he first started racing, he raced under Ayrton Senna da Silva as a tribute to his mum and dad. And some really clever journalists coined the phrase Silverstone as part of that tribute.
I like it. I mean, I still really am pinching myself that we've got 26 of his vehicles. Yeah. I'm still a bit like, oh, it's quite emotional.
Yeah, it's such a special collection. It's the biggest one ever amassed. But we got more stuff to share. In fact, we got loads coming up over the next hour.
I put my driving skills to the test as I find out what it takes to get your racing license and the first steps to getting out here on track at Silverstone.
Then it's the turn of the epic Masters Endurance legends, where the Le Mans GTs and prototypes spanning from 95 to 2016 will go wheel to wheel.
And we catch up with Bruno Senna and hear from Chris Dinage as he recounts his time with the great man at Lotus.
That takes us to our next race, the F3 Classic Inter-Series, putting a spotlight on the 2-litre Formula 3 cars from 1974 to 1983.
Then we take it back more than 80 years with the BRDC 500 for MRL pre-war sports cars, celebrating a pioneering era for motorsport.
We drop into the Silverstone Museum for an art exhibition like no other, as Lilali Senna shares our Senna collection, which has its only UK showing right here at the festival.
Before we go for a spin with Alex Brundle, who takes us with him to qualify for the final race of the day, the International Trophy for Classic GT Cars.
We have 5 Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One race cars, and from the team, Mr. Alex Toulouse. Hi.
Hey.
How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Why was Mercedes so dominant for so long?
Obviously, we were quite dominant due to the power unit and obviously Mercedes HPP. When we went to the first test in Jerez, obviously it was quite clear to see from the timesheets that we were going to be quite fast. So from the get-go, we were pretty good.
So of these 5 cars, which is the most significant?
It has to be the W05. Let me show you.
So this car's about a decade old?
Exactly. So this is 2014. This was the start of the hybrid era.
Right, wow. So this was Nico and Lewis.
Correct.
You know, it's so great bringing these cars for the Silverstone Festival crowd, and what a great way to celebrate a decade of success.
Thank you very much.
Top man, thank you. Esteban, welcome back to the Silverstone Festival.
Thank you.
You're no stranger to this event. What brings you back? Why do you keep coming back?
Driving this beauty and having the opportunity to do it in the long track and be here with the with the people, sharing, you know, the car, this wonderful car, piece of art, with the crowd here. It's great. This car is the W12, and it's the one, you know, in 2021, which we were fighting the championship very close. We won the constructor championship, unfortunately not the driver championship.
Right.
But it won 9 races, so very fast car. Very different to what I used to race, because these cars are much bigger, much heavier, but also more power and more downforce. So it's quite a different concept and driving style. So it's always great to get back in the car, and I just feel relaxed and really happy and look forward to it.
The one thing I love about the festival is that you can get drivers from all ages. Alfie Briggs, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
I saw you race these cars yesterday in the pouring rain. It just blew my mind. I mean, you are unbelievably talented. So how do you think today's going to go?
Yeah, I mean, today's going to be a difficult race. We're starting from P6, the same as yesterday. Yutaka, my teammate, he's going to be starting the car. So we're just going to hope to stay as high as we can, and then I'm going to push and see where we can finish.
So what's the dream?
So my dream is to win Le Mans. And then I've got like not an unachievable dream, but I want to beat Tom. I want to win it 10 times.
So getting your race license, did you find was that a hard thing to do? What's the process?
I did my test at Mallory Park in Leicestershire.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just like driving around on a Sunday drive, and
brilliant.
I passed, so it was good.
So let's head over to Ant, who's put together a very handy guide for anyone who's out there that wants to get their racing license. Good luck, Alfie.
Thank you.
Now, I've held a racing licence before, but foolishly, I let my licence lapse. So if I want to get behind the wheel of a race car on a racetrack, I need to go through the process all over again. Hi, how you doing?
Are you here for your ARDS?
I am here for my ARDS licence.
Perfect. If you could complete the indemnity for me.
We'll do a track briefing. We'll talk about what you're going to do. Then I'm going to hand you to one of my race instructor colleagues. We'll get you behind the wheel, and we'll see what you can remember from first time round.
Now, because it's wet, I would suggest staying slightly more to the middle, to the outside, what we would call a wet line. A lot more grip. Back in my day, when I started racing, there wasn't the simulators, so we just tested, constant, repetition, keep learning that track.
Part of racing a car is about memory, about understanding the track, which corner's coming, and I think the better you know the track, the easier the race will be. Now it's my turn.
Staying wide, off the brake, turn the car in. Make sure you do your braking here and down change here, off the brake. Wherever your eyes look is where your body will naturally turn the car to.
Oh, yeah. It takes a bit of getting used to, though.
It does. So here as well with your hand positioning. Try and always keep those hands in one position and cross your arms.
OK.
Because the thing with that, if the car goes sideways, you'll always know where the wheel's pointing. If you're moving your hands around and it goes sideways, you might not know which way it's pointing straight. Around the Grand Prix track, there's a lot to take in. It's a lot of corners. It's there to challenge F1 drivers. You know?
And it has caught many an F1 driver out.
Indeed.
Like, it's such a privilege because you think about the heritage of this track, and I'm on there at the tarmac with Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsche, but I need to bring the excitement levels down now because I've got to take an exam.
Read the questions carefully. You've got 15 minutes to demonstrate to me you've got the knowledge to be out there on the grid. That is actually 100% pass.
All right!
Welcome back to the world of professional racing.
So that is it. I've now passed my ARDS licence. I need to send my paperwork off back to the MSA, and in around 7 days, I get it back with a little card that says Anstead Racing Driver. See, now I'm legally a racing driver, I'm starting to think, what race car should I get into? And I love this period of open-wheeled, single-seater racing, although it feels incredibly exposed. Very, very different to the next race, which is the Masters Endurance Legends. Hey, guys, can I take this for a spin?
Ready to go once more. Second time of asking today for race 2 of the Masters Endurance Legends. Le Mans Racing comes to Silverstone for the second time in the Festival 2024. The Dansenburg family Pescarolo leads from pole position ahead of the Peugeot of Stuart Wiltshire, with the first of the BR01s, Sean Lynn, with the blue nose in third place. Red 5, the red and blue Zytek that was driven by Nigel Gregg and Leo Mansell in period, is fourth for Keith Fraser, with Max Lynn behind, and then the white-nosed BR01 of Yutuka Tariba. Keith Fraser leads this group from Sean Lynn, 37, Max 27, Sean Lynn, 36, and then Yutaka Tariba with the white nose. No, through past him has gone Gregor Fiskin, a smoking lockup. Fiskin's got the inside line, leaving Tariba with the outside, and he runs very wide indeed, having nearly run into the back of Max Lynn, and through past both of them goes the red Lola Mazda of Hugo Cook. So Hugo Cook has gone up from 8th position to about on the grid to 6th place now. Here is red 5, Keith Fraser, but he's left the door open on the inside. He couldn't get it closed enough, and Hugo Cook goes through. That is 3rd place for Hugo Cook. That's impressive stuff in 2 laps from 8th on the grid. Orange Delara of Freddie Tomlinson. Now, where did that start on the grid? That 23rd. Was way on back, 23rd place. That is epic stuff. Absolutely epic.
Three-way battle now with the number 5, the Mansell car, ahead of the 2 BR01s with Max Lynn and then Tariba just behind. And these have been racing now since the start of the race. We've not been able to separate them, and still they're battling.
Oh, mistake there from Keith Fraser. Ran a little deep, and that leaves him open to attack. But also, so does Max Lynn find himself under attack from Yutaka Tariba. The Pitway Lindo is open, and the leaders are in now. So Werner Dansenburg taking over from Dad Christoph. Oh, huge looping spin. And that is the Alan Purbrick David Bryce Lola B1280. And he's lost the engine there. I think he lost the engine before there. So that's not driver error. That looks very much as though he's either spinning on his own oil or it's seized. Robertson Tilley finally make their pit stop, so that reverts back then to this car being the on-road race leaders. Full course yellow, and this will be to retrieve that stranded car. It's taken a little while to go to full course yellow. Sort of thought that might have happened a couple of laps ago. Oh, is it moving under its own steam now? Well, there is Murphy's Law. Well, there is the car that came in as the race leader. I wonder where that's going to end up when everything is shaken out. And of course, for them, this is an absolutely gift from the gods, manna from heaven, because while they're stationary, everybody else is only doing 80 kilometers an hour. So they basically lose far less time in the pit lane than anybody else. There's your race leader, and there is the battle for the lead, because Stuart Wiltshire in the Peugeot has closed right in on Christoph Dansenburg. This is going to be close, but is it going to be close enough? Not unless the 88 Porsche gets in the way. Checkered flag awaits. Last gasp. It is victory by inches for the Dansenburgs in their Pescarolo, and the Peugeot in 2nd place, just half a second back. 3rd place is Hugo Cook. There he is in the red Lola Mazda, comes across the line in 3rd. 4th place there, Alfie Briggs in the car he took over from Yutaka Tariba.
You got all the way up to 3rd.
Yeah.
Drove brilliant, really quick sectors that you were putting in.
Thank you.
You know, there was a bit of traffic out there.
Yeah.
Happy?
It was a really good race. Yutaka drove very, very well for his first dry stint. And then I got in, I think we were 7th. And then I caught up to Keith. And there was a big patch of oil.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I just got Keith there. So, and then whoever was driving the Mazda, they're fast.
They are fast, I know,
they got me at the end.
You almost got to the podium, but brilliant, brilliant driving. Well done.
Thank you very much.
You got a big smile on your face. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to Werner and Christoph Dunsenburg and Steve Brooks, who challenged yesterday in his Peugeot, couldn't start today. Stuart Wilshire finished second. After the race, 16-year-old Alfie Briggs would learn a valuable lesson. He was handed a 30-second penalty for overtaking under a yellow flag, which dropped them from 4th to 9th.
I've asked loads of F1 drivers the same question. Who, in their opinion, is the greatest Formula One driver of all time? And the same name comes up over and over. Now, this is a man who left such a lasting legacy that even the cars he drove become an important part of automotive history. And this weekend, at the Silverstone Festival, we have the biggest single collection of that one man's cars in one go. 26 of his cars are here on display. And coming up after the break, we're going to see some of these cars turn a wheel in anger on the Silverstone tarmac and meet some of that man's family. That one man, Mr. Ayrton Senna.
Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.
Such an amazing display of Ayrton Senna's cars here at Silverstone. We have 26 of them. But to talk to me, I'm very, very lucky, very blessed to have Bruno Senna joining me. I mean, first of all, how amazing is it to see so many of Ayrton's cars all in one place?
I think it's the first time I've seen so many at the same time. Of course, at McLaren, they have their own collection, so I see some of these cars together regularly, but these many, Lotus, Toleman outside and everything, it's unbelievable.
So do you have a favorite one?
I think it's hard to pick a favorite one. I've driven all these cars. I think my favorite one from a memory perspective is the 1991 car, the MP46. I saw him winning the championship then, and I was already a bit older, and it has a beautiful V12 engine.
So special, obviously one of the greatest drivers, really important to Team Lotus, and to have the Estoril car here on a rainy day.
I can't believe it. I keep on going, it's behind me. I mean, can you just explain to everyone the importance of this car?
It was the first win since Colin died in '82.
Yeah.
The team had really stayed together. Peter Waugh led the team from the front and managed to sign Ayrton to Team Lotus when a lot of other teams were trying to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
And then Ayrton, paid dividends in the biggest possible way by winning that extraordinary race at Estoril.
What I really wanted to ask you is because, when you're number one mechanic to a driver, you get a very, very special bond, don't you?
Yeah, and we were encouraged to have a relationship with the drivers. When you look them in the eye and you've done their seatbelts up and you say you can go, and if they've got the confidence in you that and the other boys on the team, then you know that they're going to give it their best shot. If you talk to any Formula One mechanics, they'll all say, my era was the best when I was doing it.
Yeah.
My era was the best.
It really was, and I will vouch for that. And are we going to see you in the demonstration later?
Well, as long as it doesn't rain. I'm not
I know,
quite
we're
as good
at
as him in the
Silverstone,
rain.
of course it's going to rain. All right, well, I can't wait to see you out there and have a wonderful time going round. Let's get back to business now here at Silverstone with more thrills and spills out on the track.
Now to unleash our Formula 3 cars. Formula 3 Classic Inter-Series underway at the Silverstone Festival. On pole on the left-hand side of the picture, Andy Smith, the driver's right. Pole position heading down into Abbey for the first time. On the outside of the front row, the Rolt of Richard Mitchell jumped at the start. Through comes the march of Christian Vallio, the red and white car. It is Andy Smith who leads in the red, white and blue Moulton liveried march.
And pulling away well from Eric Martin, who came up through in the MK39, not Mark, it's not short for that, Martini Knight it stands for. He's in second place. Third place is Christian Vallio, and then in fourth place is the very fast starting number 35 of Pascal Gerboux, who started in 10th on the grid.
Then here's this big dice behind the Marlborough car, getting dive-bombed left, right and centre. Christian Vallio, the Swiss driver, in his March 783. And through goes the blue, dark blue, car number 63, the Lola of Dominic Jackson.
And Dominic Jackson, the son of Simon Jackson, who is also challenging the car between them now as they come down the Wellington Straight. Dominic ahead into Brooklands, and Andy Smith, though, really doing what he does best, which is to just open up a gap and hold the lead of the race. An incredibly fast driver. Dominic Jackson in the Lola challenging the third-placed car in the all-red car, number 35 of Pascal Gerboux. That's the Ralt. So it's Eric Broadley versus Ron Taranach, two of the great race car designers of this era as they come through. And in fact, Dominic Jackson gets ahead at Luffield. So Dominic Jackson moves up into third place. Pascal Gerboux, after that stunning start, drops to fourth place.
Dominic Jackson sends it to the inside into Brooklands, and Eric Martin, well, he fights it all the way. But with Jackson on the inside, there was really no coming back unless Dominic had somehow outbraked himself and couldn't control the car, in which case Eric Martin would have been on the outside and getting collected anyway. Dominic Jackson, well, he's had an entertaining race, hasn't he? 9th to 2nd. I don't think he's going to progress any further, but with 10 minutes remaining, never say never. That's what motor racing tells you, isn't it? Time has run out on the entertaining drive of Andy Smith, the man from pole position, the March 783, who dominated qualifying, has been equally dominant in the race. He hasn't gone over the 20-second margin because he's released the throttle for the last couple of laps, but he wins in absolutely dominating fashion. Claims the Formula 3 win with a new fastest lap, 3/10 quicker than he went in qualifying, 2:06.0 compared to 2:06.3 in qualifying. An astonishing finish, and here we go. This is the battle for fourth place. Sam Jackson in the middle of it, but Pascal Gerboux in car number 35, the red Ralt RT3, as Dominic Jackson takes second and Eric Martin takes third. It will be the Ralt in fourth place. And Pascal Gerboux comes across the line ahead of Simon Jackson. Pascal Gerboux, by the way, in fourth place. The rule is that if you don't have a working transponder, you're given a 30-second penalty. So he crossed the line in fourth place, may not hold that, but it won't affect our podium. And Andy Smith, well, he may have crossed the line off the track, but a 2:06.001 is comfortably the quickest lap anybody has done in a Formula 3 car here.
The car was perfect. When you get a car that's set up like that does everything you want it to, it's a beautiful thing to drive, and it makes the driver's job quite easy.
Now, at the Silverstone Festival, we're treated to a huge amount of entertainment away from the track, from cooking classes at Foodie Fest to even taking circus lessons. But as the track starts to wind down, the crowd heads over to the main stage for the evening's music entertainment. So, Ollie, this is Silverstone, home of British motorsport. This is sacred ground for us car people.
It really is.
How does it feel to be here?
Amazing. I've never been here before.
You've never been to Silverstone?
Never been to Silverstone, no. And it's a real bucket list moment for me, yeah. Nice to be here.
I know, right?
Nice to see the cars and just, I mean, I haven't, like I said, never been here before, so nice to go around the place, see the cars and the vibe. It's good.
Would you get yourself in one of these? Like, let's say this car coming around here. That's an Austin Healey 3000, the red one.
I would absolutely love it. I'm not sure my record label or my management would. They'd be like, the insurance would be a bit high, but I would absolutely love to be in them cars right now, yeah. I've got a Land Rover Defender.
What?
Yes.
No, that makes you a car guy.
Yeah. I absolutely love it. But I've also got a confession to make.
Uh-oh.
I also drive a smart car.
Yeah, it's over. You had me a Defender, lost me a smart car.
Join us after the break, where we catch up with Leilani Senna as she shows us a very moving tribute to her uncle. And we're on board with Alex Brundle as he takes out his 1965 E-Type Jag to qualify for the International Trophy for Classic GTs. See you after the break.
Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.
Welcome back to the Silverstone Festival 2024, where historic motorsport is at the heart of this epic bank holiday weekend. Now we're going to go over to Martin Haven, who's going to take us through the best of today's action out on track.
Andy Smith led the F2 Inter-Series field from second on the grid in the ex-Eddie Cheever March. Behind, Graham Ridgway spun, challenging for third. Henry Chart's Orange Modus was the top 1600cc car in fifth. And after Andy Smith retired, Alex Capadia grabbed the lead from poleman Matthew Watts, claiming victory in a 1976 March in a race he'd been looking forward to all year. The Royal Automobile Club's Tourist Trophy was all AC Cobras. Gregor Fiskin and poleman John Spears duking it out right from the start. British machinery also kept the crowds entertained as the Jaguar E-Types and the Big Heelys put on a show. They couldn't keep pace with the big-engined AC Cobras, however. On the last lap, Richard Cook's Cobra took second from John Pearson in the family's E-Type, while Chris Ward completed the job Fiskin had started, claiming victory.
And now we're going to take it all the way back to an era of motorsport that even predates this hallowed track. Get ready for some true historic racing action for the BRDC 500 for the MRL pre-war sports cars.
These cars are spectacular. The oldest of them is from 1924 and the youngest of them from 1939. The BRDC 500 will get underway in a moment here at the Silverstone Festival. The lights go out and it's Patrick Blakeney-Edwards who on the driver's right in the front row has got a battle on his hands already with Gareth Burnett. The Ultrasport goes into the lead. That's exactly what Patrick Blakeney-Edwards did not want to do. The Alta and the black Alvis Firefly Special of Rudiger Friedrichs that started third, that is behind Blakeney-Edwards in car number one. Those are the cars that he reckons will be quicker on the straight but slower in the corner. Again, you can see from a lot of these cars why pre-war cars, no matter which country they were made in, were predominantly right-hand drive, because not only was the handbrake on the outside, but so too, there you go, changing gears on the outside in the Fraser-Nash. And that was very much a pre-war way, because of the mechanical linkages and so on, not being inside the car. It didn't have remote gear changes. Lots of them were on the outside of the car.
We're looking here at the battle for second place. Patrick Blakeney-Edwards has built up a sizable lead, but Gareth Burnett still under challenge from Rudy Friedrichs. We saw this right at the start of the race, and still this battle goes on. Rudy, look, crouching down in the cockpit of the car. Great big steering wheel, turns in. He's ahead of Gareth Burnett as they turn in. It's not one turn in to Stowe Corner, is it? It's about 10.
And it's like stitching. It's like he's knitting, basically. Hands moving up and down and up and down and up and down. The Bentley behind, the Bentley Tourer, just being lapped. Again, yeah. Oh, busy, busy, busy. Ah, so that's where the position changed. So Rudiger Friedrichs was ahead of Gareth Burnett and just had a bit of a moment there going into Copse Corner. And abandoned ship bailing out of the Bentley.
Oh, that's the Morley.
That is Clive and James Morley's car, so that's James.
That's very unusual to see a Morley car in technical problems.
Yeah. Well, I can immediately see what the issue might be there, because that's not a Morgan, but it is definitely a three-wheeler. Red flags are out.
Yeah.
And that then, I'm afraid, is a curtail end to the race. Well, as the cars head back towards the collecting area, and the race has been concluded. So the results, Pat Blakeney-Edwards and Chris Ward, the winners from Gareth Burnett and Rudy Friedrichs. The BB's Fraser Nash, TT Rep ahead of the similar car of Fidgen and Williams. And Michael Birch bringing the AV105 Talbot home in 6th position, ahead of the best of the Bentleys. The Aston Martin Speed Red Dragon in 9th place, and the twin rear wheel Jaguar SS100 rounding out the top 10.
A familiar face at the Silverstone Festival is my pal Alex Brundle.
Hello, sir. How are you? Good to see you.
So I've got you just before you're about to go out and qualify in the E-Type.
Yes, it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. We might be a bit out-powered, but we've got a bit of grip in the corners. Independent suspension and nice and light, so proper British machinery as well, eh?
Does a driver take any care towards the competitors? Do you think about who else you're racing against?
We do, but only until you get on the racetrack. After that, and then it's all out of the window, and you're just doing your best job in your car. Every time you go out in one of these old buses, something different happens, something you're not expecting happens. So you've got to go out completely ready for a curved ball, because there normally is one. Right, well, I'm going to go up on the balcony and I'm going to watch your qualifying and hope you get that top 10 finish. No pressure. Thank you.
Top man, good luck.
Out we go then, to qualify this E-Type Jag. Braking down well, in we go, roller in, over that inside curve, hard back in the power, float the rear with his second part. Brake, down one, on the way into Maggots. Let's take the early downshift now, that gives us more control of the front through the mid-corner of Beckett, so I much prefer that. Yes, get out. Down to second. Let the car roll so it doesn't cough and splutter. Don't get caught up in the car ahead's incident. Goodness me, that was a sketchy moment. That's the end of that qualifying lap. Quite a frustrating session we're having. Try again. Backing right off through the final couple of corners. And let's go then. Don't turn in on me, please. Thank you. Need to try to get this Lotus down into Brooklands if we possibly can. Big braking moment for our qualifying session, that. Must try and get it stopped if I can. Too much traffic. It's costing us big time. Maybe we won't lose out too much because we went in so quick. Was that a better lap? I'm not sure. Well, always magic though, isn't it? Qualifying an E-Type Jag at Silverstone.
I can confirm that Alex qualified in 7th position. Let's see how they get on after the break.
Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.
Welcome back to the Silverstone Festival. I have the pleasure of speaking with Ayrton Senna here at the Silverstone Museum. Thank you for speaking with us.
Nice, thank you.
So I understand that you've been working on an art project.
Yes.
Of your uncle, Ayrton.
I've been an artist for a long time. I even studied here in the UK. My grandmother, Ayrton's mother, was following my career and she was always supporting me a lot. And one day she came to me and she said, you know, Lalali, I have something very special to ask of you. Could you make a sculpture of Ayrton for me? Because I miss looking at my son the way that I remember him. I got really emotional and I said, okay, this is a big task. At some point, I looked at the sculpture and it was exactly the person I remembered, you know.
That's really special. And of course, this weekend at the Silverstone Festival, we have 26
of Ayrton's cars here.
Yes.
How does that feel to see all those vehicles?
I mean, this is so emotional for me. Yesterday we were at the track and they were all lined up, and the sculptor was there as well. He was like, oh, I can't believe this moment, you know, I wish he was here to see that. I didn't even watch him racing a lot when I was a child, but I saw the person, I met my uncle, and he was a special person. I mean, the way that he looked into people's eyes and he was actually paying attention to people, always connecting to people, and I think that showed through his character, even at his career, so he was different. Maybe that's why.
Oh, well, it's such a pleasure to meet you, and it's been such a lovely chat, and congratulations on the artwork, and
Thank you.
I know everybody's talking about it in the museum.
Oh, thank you very much.
The International Trophy for Classic GT Cars, the pre-66 era. The final race of the 2024 Silverstone Festival gets underway. It's the International Trophy for Classic GT Cars and the thundering V8 horsepower from the front row and second row and third row of the grid, swamping the small capacity yellow Ginetta G4. It is John Spears and Julian Thomas on the front row of the grid. Julian in the big Daytona coupe with a big white V on the nose, drops down to fourth at the start. The second Cobra coupe, Olivier Hart, the green car, the olive car, up to second place, but it is our pole man. And is that Nigel Greensell or John Spears? I think that's Nigel Greensell who has started. And he is in front of Olivier Hart, and they are looking to try and clear off head of the TVR of John Davison.
And a huge mass of cars. What a sight as they come down towards Brooklands, and the little yellow Ginetta of Dan Eagling has retained a very high position despite them having gone down that long straight. He's managed to hold on there. He's in fifth behind Julian Thomas as they come out of Luffield, and this is where I think some of the quicker TVRs and maybe a Daytona Cobra will go past him.
But out front, Nigel Greensell and Olivier Hart. TVR Griffith versus Daytona Cobra. They are the front runners, and they are already leaving a big gap to this battle for third place.
What a great battle it is between Barton and Davison. Coming up behind John Davison, he's trying the long outside line through Luffield. This can work if he can cut back now to the inside for the exit of Luffield, and that's exactly what he's trying to do, and get the inside for Woodcote. And he's got the overlap, so he's now, if he can hold him, he's got the inside for Copse Corner, and that could be a change of place with the very well-driven Harry Barton car going up into third place.
So Harry Barton's gone in and Julius Thomas continues there. Julian Thomas is at the top of the picture, and here's our lead battle. Nigel Greensell, less than a second ahead of Olivier Hart. In fact, much less than a second. It was 0.89 of a second at the line. That's about half a second, although Olivier doesn't get the best break in traffic there. There's Adrian Newey. Looks like he's had a good enough time. So rare opportunity for Adrian to race with his son Harrison. Both have raced in historic cars in various different things, but you don't get many opportunities to race as a father and son when you're as busy as Adrian Newey is. So Olivier Hart back in the lead from Julian Thomas. These are our top two, both in Daytona coupes, Daytona Cobra coupes. And then John Spears looks to be in fourth behind Harry Barton, two TVRs, when Dan Eagling will cycle round to fifth. Oh, here's the challenge. Julian Thomas up the inside, has to go over the curbs on the inside, but he makes the pass. He leaves the door open for Olivier Hart to come back at him. Whoa. Entertaining stuff. Well, Julian Thomas showing plenty of intent there. Dive to the inside, but left room. And that's what you want to see.
And now he's in the lead. He's gone through this time, but Olivier Hart comes back at him later on the brakes on the inside of Stowe Corner. Doesn't give Julian the option to turn in where he wants to, but now they're moving down through the Vale into the left-hander, so Julian, even if he hadn't got ahead, would have had the inside line. So lead change with about 8 minutes to go.
But Julian Thomas likes that wide open line around Stowe, almost as if he's going around the white line on the exit, so that didn't really hamper him too much. He keeps his nose in front of Olivier Hart, but the danger is not over for Julian Thomas. Olivier Hart is going to be very hard to shake off. It's one thing to attack, but as Olivier just showed, it's another to have to defend, because really the impetus is with the driver behind, because he makes the moves. And again, Julian has to open the steering there as Olivier shows his nose very early into the loop. Out of Aintree, he'll have the wider line, Julian Thomas, but doesn't have quite as much traction out there off track. And Olivier Hart will get his nose back in front, but there is traffic in front of them and they will catch it in Luffield, and that might hamper Olivier Hart's exit onto the pit straight here. Here we go. What is the traffic ahead going to do? He's going to have to go inside here. He's going to try two wheels on the grass. Olivier moves over to shut the door. Looking over him, he sort of almost nodded there at Julian Thomas. Sorry about that, but it was a clean enough move. Thomas has got two more corners to try and win this race. Olivier Hart might yet cling on to this. Julian Thomas with the fastest race lap, but that was before he caught Olivier Hart. They're not going to catch traffic. The checkered flag is out to finish the 2024 Silverstone Festival. It is victory for Olivier Hart by 0.3 of a second from Julian Thomas after an epic 20-minute dice. Mano a mano, what a race that was. And in third place comes Harry Barton in his TVR. Well, there you go. And if that doesn't sum up the final race battle, then nothing does. Olivier Hart by a whisker from Julian Thomas. Harry Barton taking third. Dan Eagling fourth in the Ginetta D4R, ahead of the Nigel Greensill, John Spears TVR, and the Dodd family E-Type. They were the top E-Type in the field.
We kept each other right in our eyes and didn't make any mistake. I think maybe one scratch, that's it. So one of my best races I did in classic car racing, so I'm very happy and proud to be on the top step.
Adrian, last race of the day at Silverstone Festival. How was it?
It was great. I mean, I haven't been out in the E-Type for a very long time. 2012 was the last time I raced it, so it's great to be back out in it.
What's it feel like, you know, being in the driver's seat at a race at Silverstone, as opposed to watching somebody else do the driving?
It's very different. I mean, in many ways, there's no comparison, but I do find it useful doing a bit of my own amateur driving, just because you start to get a feel for when drivers are describing something, what they're talking about, etc., etc.
A little birdie tells me that this is a bespoke helmet painted. What's the significance of all of these?
Well, it's actually painted by Dave Prynne at work, very kindly. He did it, but the significance of it is that the colours of the teams I've worked for over the years, or the racing colours of those teams, so starting with Fittipaldi, Leighton House, Williams, McLaren and Red Bull, and then the various IndyCar teams here. And then the width of the stripes is proportional to how long I was at that team. So you can see that kind of, as I got more mature, then I've tended to spend longer and longer at teams.
Yeah, you tended to stay. Well, thanks very much. I appreciate it's the end of the day. The sun is setting on Silverstone, so take care.
Thank you very much.
The top 9 finishers from race 1 of the Masters Racing Legends were reversed on the race 2 grid, so Matthew Wrigley's Blue Tyrrell and Stuart Hall's Ram March had work to do. They charged by Steve Hartley's third-placed McLaren and second-place Steve Brooks's Lotus 91 before catching and passing poleman and early leader Christoph Dansenborg in the Williams. Mike Cantonon's Williams had broken down on lap 1 of race 1, so he tore from 26th to 3rd, while Matthew Wrigley turned the tables on race 1 winner Stuart Hall, claiming victory. The second race for the Pre-66 Grand Prix cars was dry, so race 1 winner John Spears' Maserati was swamped immediately, the mid-engine cars holding sway. In the red Brabham, Tim Child battles Sam Wilson's Lotus for 3rd, while Will Nuttall tore through the field from 39th after his race 1 retirement. Even Charlie Martin in the Cooper couldn't hang on. Will Nuttall closed and passed in the dying stages, sealing an astonishing win in the 1960 Cooper T53.
Now, these cars pulling in, unfortunately, signify the end of the very, very last race here at what has been a monumental bank holiday weekend at Silverstone Festival.
I know, I'm really actually quite sad. I don't want it to come to an end. I mean, but I have to say, I've loved every single second of it. And seeing all those Senna cars all in one place, a pinch-me moment. What's your favourite bit?
I think being here for the 60th anniversary of the Ford Mustang, you know, I live in America, I have a Mustang, and it's a car that set out to be a usable, affordable family car, but actually is a very capable race car.
I mean, when you saw it drifting around that track, I mean, it really was fantastic. I'd have to say a real standout moment for me was Alfie Briggs, that 16-year-old driving that LMP2. I mean, he is a talent to watch for the future.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that is all we have time for, so this is the moment we have to say goodbye.
Unfortunately, it is, but we will be back again for another action-packed weekend full of motorsport. But until then, bye!
Bye-bye.
Celebrating the individual, Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.